Alright, you ready to go?
Yeah, where's Kenny?
Dude, I don't know. I've been looking for him. What you mean, bro? I'm ready.
Justin Bieber, the fever and left. Ay. She know what she need, all she blessed. Ay. Giving my best. Ay. Yeah, I got my heart on my sleeve with a knife in my back. What's with that? Ay. 21.
Yo, let's hurry the hell up. We gotta film.
That's my stack. Ay. Metro made the beat, so
What's up, guys, to the next episode of Timeless Talks podcast. Today, we sadly will not have David with us, but we do have two very interesting and special guests with us. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Victor.
I'm LD.
And guys, we want to talk about the subscriptions. You know, they're not matching.
Again.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're not matching our views. So we would like for you guys to subscribe in the nicest way possible. Isael's going to say it in his way.
Yeah. Stop being a hater. Stop being a hater. If you're in the views, be in the subscriptions. And that's all I really have to say for that.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Can I say something?
Of
I know this is gonna be like very, very like church, but can we pray in front of everybody? I wanted.
Of course.
I wanted to do it after we start. This is gonna be very, very
Yeah.
cool podcast,
Yeah.
and I like to just make a quick pray because we're all here for wisdom.
Yeah.
You guys can learn, and we want to learn as well. So God's the
100%.
one who commands
Fine.
everything. So let's do it. I'll pray.
All right, yes, sir.
Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for this amazing people around us. Please let this podcast be full of wisdom today.
Amen.
And please guide us in everything we have to say, everything we have to do. At the end of the day, we do it for your glory. We do it because we want to, spread the message and be successful and, make your name more famous.
Amen.
Amen.
And if you don't subscribe, God won't bless you.
Oh, okay.
JK.
No, he's not kidding about that one.
All right, but subscribe.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Victor, again, for your beautiful
Yeah,
beautiful
we are in
place. We're in
Victor's
PSG
shop
10.
currently. We're in Victor's shop. He has a tinting business. He's going to get more into that later. We would want to thank you from the bottom of my hearts from letting us be here in this place today, man.
Yeah, we should have a link for that. His
Oh,
Instagram
yeah.
and everything.
And we'll have it in the link if you're from Jacksonville or Florida. Matter of fact, if you are in the United States of America and want your car tinted, I recommend
He'll find a way.
PSG Tint. He will find a way to get your car tinted.
We're not getting paid for this, by the way.
Not getting paid.
Yeah,
at all
you're
for
not.
this. So anyways, to start off today, I kind of had an odd question for you, Victor. What's your favorite car that you've done so far here?
Oh man, that's a great question. I wanted before I answer the question, I want to let everybody know that I say it. Do I say it? I'm not a car guy.
What?
I'm not a car guy, believe it or not. So a little bit of my story here. I came here 5 years ago to the United States.
Yeah.
And I used to go to college for marine engineering. So my background is not car related. Nothing to do with cars. Started doing construction here, and I just wanted to stop, doing construction. It was hard for me. I was a laborer. I was, working very hard. Had the opportunity to service people. That's what I love doing. Serving, seeing people every day, making them smile, treating them like they deserve, and got the opportunity to do it through window tinting. I say this. Window tint and PPF and wraps is the excuse. Serving people, making their lives better, at least their day better, their morning better, is the real reason. So when it comes back to the question, when it comes to cars, I drive a Tesla, and before that I drove a Hyundai Tucson. So that's my background. But favorite cars, want to get a really nice car. I like Porsche. I like Ferrari, so something along those lines is what I'm leaning towards.
Have
he's
you
not-
tinted them?
What?
Sorry, Ali. Have you tinted a Ferrari or?
No, not a Ferrari,
But a
but
Porsche?
it's coming. Oh, Porsche's now it's. Last year I couldn't say that. Now Porsche is every day at the shop. So
It's a common thing now.
There we go.
That's awesome.
Also, I feel like I kind of skipped over subconsciously. I wanted you guys to give like a little intro about yourselves. You went a little bit into
I
it,
was
but also
gonna-
you, Ellie.
I was gonna tell you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a cool rapping tint business, but I'm more in the real estate development area. So
Just real estate.
yeah,
Just real estate.
just real estate. Not. I see the difference between me and Victor is that I actually am a car guy, so I love cars. So I actually find his profession a lot more interesting than mine in a way,
Really?
which is kind of crazy. But I
What
guess
car do you drive? Sorry.
since I like cars,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to purchase a Porsche GT3 992 about
Okay.
almost a year ago. So yeah,
Wow.
Love it. Freaking love it.
yeah,
It's amazing.
Just real estate, by the way. Keep going down.
that's really much it. I mean, I don't really.
Yeah, actually, Eudi is the one who's been telling me what cars to buy lately. So I had a Camry when I moved here. After that, he told me you should get a Transit Connect. Bought the Transit, and after I got the Tucson, and we had dinner just to discuss what type of car I was gonna buy. Ended up buying a Tesla for business reasons, but it's working great. So this is the guy who's giving me advice on what cars to buy.
Did you guys meet as soon as you got here?
We meet. Oh man, probably Eudi doesn't remember. Do I say? Can I tell the story?
Yeah, of course.
Whatever,
We're here
yeah.
for you
So
guys.
it's interesting. I don't think Eudi remembers, but oh man, when I came here, I came for 3 months only. We had to flee from Venezuela. We didn't have a choice. Came for 3 months, and I went to church, and I went to a house of peace at Isa's house.
You didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
they don't know that.
I didn't know
It
this.
was with Julito and Anciano Joao.
I
Yeah.
remember now.
So
I remember on San Joao bringing you.
Yeah, and
now
Eudi
I
was-
just clicked because I forgot.
oh yeah, and Eudi was studying
Maybe.
for real estate. He was getting his license.
Yeah,
That was like
yeah.
2018.
That's exactly it. That's
Yeah,
when I got
yeah,
licensed.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I came here for 3 months. We have to go back because my mom had a stroke, and unfortunately she passed away during those months. And I was back, and we came back. Because we had to flee again from our country. They were extortioning us and all that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I come back, and I remember LDR church. I don't know actually exactly how we reconnected.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my the first time we met was like that.
Ever since it was divine connection.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But Victor, actually, I'm not even the host here, but I feel like you should share a little bit more about your story of like how it was in Venezuela, how was your upbringing there. Talk about the culture shocks of when you did arrive here, and just some of the things that you had to learn, and just kind of go from there. And how'd you end up building this great business and scaling it to have such great customer service from a person that 5 years ago barely spoke English?
Yeah, let's not skip over that.
Like,
'Cause how do you go
that's
from
Yeah.
fleeing,
From
fleeing
to
your home
coming back
country
to
to
this.
like not
That's
having
crazy.
this business?
This guy is inspirational,
Yeah.
for real.
Okay, yeah, I can share a little bit of that. So usually when you're the one who's going through it, and you already overcame certain situations, you don't see how the impact of them. But yeah, I was doing life in Venezuela, a great life. On a Tuesday, I was going to college, going to church. Everything was going smooth over
What
there.
did your parents do for a living there?
My dad's a businessman. He used to sell cars. He had real estate too. So we were financially we're good.
And your mother was some type of
My mom
professional
was a
too.
lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah,
My
so
mom
it's
was
pretty
a
cool.
lawyer.
Oh, so
That's actually
So, when everything was going great over there, I mean, normal, and I didn't work. I only, was going to college, and I play music, going to church, all that. But nothing work related. So suddenly on a Tuesday, I get a phone call from my dad. He's like, "Hey, they're threatening us. We probably on Saturday this week we're going to the United States, and you'll have to go with me because I don't want you to be in danger. I want to leave you here."
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so that was on a Saturday that we were supposed to, fly here, and nobody could know about it. I'm planning on telling my mom the next day. Try to think about it because my parents divorced when I was like 3 years old, and I was a single. My mother was like a single mom, and I was the only son. Of
You were
my
an
mom.
only child,
The
yeah.
only child. So I'm, processing that on how to tell my mom, like, Mom, I'm gonna have to leave you because they may kill me,
Yeah.
So next day, I'm planning all that night on how to say that, and next day, my dad calls and he's like, next day is he called me on a Tuesday. Next day is Wednesday. Calls me on a Wednesday and he's like, yeah, we bought some tickets and we're leaving tomorrow on Thursday. So I had to tell my mom like on the spot, Mom, Dad just called me and I'm leaving tomorrow. We're going to the United States and we know when we're gonna come back. Yeah, that's how it went, and nobody can know about it. And yeah, that was the whole. It was hard. It was hard.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because I had planned to church. Like 2 weeks later, after that, we had an event at church with the youth. I was going to participate on it, and I have to go. I mean, leave the country and nobody can know. Only my pastors. I just called my pastors, said, "Hey, this is going on, and I just want to know what you think about this," because my spiritual authorities I
Yeah.
respect a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, "What do you think about this?" He's like, "Oh, Victor, you gotta go, and don't worry, you have our blessing." And
So nobody could know because you weren't really sure who was
yeah, because
giving out information on you.
oh yeah, because they said we are all risking our lives there now, and like nobody, we didn't know who was threatening my dad exactly or who would be involved in it.
Yeah.
So nobody could know. We come here on Thursday, like it was a little bit devastating. Because I remember we drove an hour to the airport. My mom was crying, like it was hard. But yeah, we made it here, and
By here, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. It's just divine moves.
Yeah.
We were going to Atlanta originally, and we were gonna visit here to my uncle. My dad said, "We're gonna stop by Jacksonville," and we stopped by. We stayed. So it's been 5 years here. I went to church. During those days of the process of all that was going on, I went to church here because I was used to go to church in Venezuela, and I went to House of Peace, and like a month into being here, without knowing if we're gonna come back, we're still letting things settle over there. I get a call that my mom like was at the hospital and she wasn't doing great. So that was a Saturday. Saturday I was working.
Yeah.
On a Saturday.
So from Thursday that you got there that week, on Saturday
No,
you
no,
get
no,
that? No.
I got it here on a Thursday.
So like a month later. Oh
yeah,
wow.
that in between that month was when I met you at the House of Peace. I was like, trying to see what I was gonna do here. I was working, but doing some construction here and there. It wasn't like that. How do you say definite that I was gonna be. I was gonna stay here. We were planning on going back. But when I received the call about my mom, we had to go. We left next day. So it was a Saturday. No, it was a Saturday that I get the call. We
About your
couldn't
mom.
find tickets for next day.
Yeah.
And on Monday we're going back to Venezuela, like risking everything because my mom was there.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful story on when I get to the hospital. Like it was beautiful. Like God did amazing things. When I was in the plane, I remember all those moments. Like
Yeah.
you know, certain moments of that process, because I was the only child, and I don't know if I was talking to Eudi about it. No, it was the House of Peace that sometimes God is silent.
Yeah.
In your hardest moments, I was like, God, is mom gonna be alive? Is mom gonna die? Like you don't hear anything. It's just silence.
So
but you know he's there.
yeah, how was like did your faith ever like kind of lack during those moments? Because I feel like if I got a call like my mom thing, I'd almost like question God.
Okay, this is very interesting, but because I was going through it, lately I've seen that, you know, I try to analyze my life and everything that's happened, and I see God in many casual moments, which now it's like a big thing if I tell you the story how God moved.
Yeah.
But when I was in that process, it was like casual things. For example, when I was at church during that month, the profeta, she said that God's gonna be with you even in your hardest moments, even if you lose somebody that you love.
Yeah.
That stuck with me. I don't know how,
Wow.
but you know that's said in every preaching.
So is this kind of what I feel like I kind of know the answer to this, you know, God and faith. Is that what has really pushed you to keep on going? Because I've met people that have gone through similar situations and they never kind of recuperate how you did and move into normal life or better themselves. They always stay in this shell.
It's just the little things that I catch from God. Like I was on a Saturday, I was on that job when I get the call.
Yeah.
But I got the call like at 12 or 1 p.m. But in the morning, I met a guy from Honduras who just had came here, and for some reason I think I asked the question that we always ask, like, do you have family here? Who brought you here?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, my uncle. And I was like, what about your mom? And he's like, oh, my mom died. And I felt, the way he said it, it inspired me because he was standing on his feet, like, he didn't say it like with sadness.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
no, my mom died. And I was like, man, I love this guy. You know, his mom
Yeah.
passed away, and he's, you know, and that resonated with me. At 1, I get the call that my mom's at the hospital. You know,
Yeah.
all those little things that God kind of puts in the way, it's just things that you have to go through. But yeah, God was there with me.
The whole entire
Yeah,
time.
but the
Yeah.
questions I wanted to ask, like I fasted, I prayed for my mom. Even when I got to the hospital, she was still alive, and I prayed for her so much, like for hours at the hospital. The day she passed away, I was sitting like this at the waiting area. This is very cool. I'm in the waiting area. I spent the whole morning with her, and they told me like, yeah, you gotta be out because we're gonna do some like some tests.
Yeah.
And I'm at the waiting area, and doctor comes out like an hour later, and he says like, oh, we're doing like the CPR is, how do you call it? I don't know.
CPR. Yeah.
CPR.
Oh, no, that's something else actually. When you the charge.
Yeah, the charge.
pads,
So he's like, yeah, we're gonna inform you that we're doing CPR. And at that moment, my aunt is a bioanalyst. She knows a lot about hospitals and clinics and all that health
Yeah.
terminology. And she starts crying. She's like, because after everything happened, I asked her like, why you start crying when the doctor said that?
You didn't know what it meant at the
Yeah,
time?
yeah. No, I didn't. I know what it meant, but she knew that that's the way the doctors used to prepare you. I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, they're just, it's not a big thing. They're, doing. But she started crying, and after, later I asked like, why do you start crying? She's like, yeah, because I know the doctors do that to not shock you with like she passed away, but they're like, oh, we're doing CPR. We're, kind of, yeah. And when the doctor, like, 10 minutes later, comes and she said, oh, she's gone. And for some reason, I stand it. I stand up, walk to the room. It was like the UCI.
Yeah.
Because they allowed me to be there the 2 days before, spend the whole day because they knew I was the only son, only child. That was the only reason why they would allow me to be on a UCI unit.
Yeah.
I walked to the UCI unit, and people think that I'm crazy. Now I see I would react the same as my family.
Yeah.
I see all my family coming behind me, but I'm in a mode that I'm not controlling myself. It's like it's led by God. I don't know. I walked to the room, opened the door, she's there laying on the bed, and I pray for her. And I was praying for resurrection because there's something I heard a long time ago from Cash Luna that he said, our work is to pray. The work of God is do the miracle. Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to die or let this moment go without me trying. So I tried. Yeah. Bible says that, people can resurrect from the dead. You pray. Yeah. So I prayed for her, and nothing happened. But I did my best. I tried. Yeah. So that gave me a lot of peace. Yeah. And after that, nothing happened. That was, God's will. And after that, I turn around to the door, get on my knees, and start thanking God, which to me is crazy. Like, now I see it. I was just giving thanks to God. Thank you because my mom passed away, Lord. I don't even remember, but it was crazy. Like a Thanksgiving. That was all God and my family around. And they UCI unit. That's a little bit of the story. I think I've talked a lot. So.
Honestly, I'm like, wow, I'm fully invested in this story.
And to close the story of how I came here. We stayed in Venezuela. That was in June. On October, I get a message through WhatsApp again with people threatening us, and that time was to me. My dad got really mad. Like, what are you sending these messages to my child about threatening for money, extortion? Yeah. And he's like, no, we gotta go. And on December 27th of 2018, we came here. And it's been a great, it's been a long way and a great opportunity to be here in America.
Wow, that's a really touching story.
How do we even go from there? Wow.
Y'all can turn off the cameras now.
This is a wrap, guys.
This is a wrap, guys.
No, I want to hear from Eudi now.
No, I would say that question for you. Would you say that because of that resilience, that trying for what you when your mom was already gone, you had one more, you tried, you had faith, right? Is that something that today then you put in practice in your business?
So, man, the experiences I lived when my mom passed away, I think I have a lot of takeouts from that, a week process. Right. It was like a week. Everything happened so fast. Yeah. My mom got to the hospital on Saturday. On Tuesday, she passed away. So it was quick. Oh, yeah. But there were many things many takeouts. So one of the takeouts was for when my mom passed away, after I did the prayer, after I come out, I see everybody crying in the waiting area. And I just stand there, and I knew my mom was everything to me. Like, she was everything to me, honestly, and God knows that. Yeah. And if I can say something, it's going to sound like preaching, but that's when I understood the verse of the Bible that says, cursed is the man who put his trust in man. Why? Because my mom was everything to me. And she was the only one who would never fail me, right? But she did. Yeah. Not because she wanted, but she's not there anymore. We had some good plans, we were gonna go sailboating. We had those dreams, right? Yeah. She's not there anymore. She couldn't fulfill the promise.
Your best friend's gone.
Yeah. So if I had put my trust in my mom, she's not there. Yeah. But that's why I understood, God is the one that's going to be.
That's powerful.
That's yeah.
Crazy. That's really cool. I've never thought about that verse like
that's
that.
Crazy. Never, me neither.
Either I.
I've interpreted it many different ways, and I've seen people talk about it in different ways, but I've never thought about it that way.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because my mom could never fail me, but in a certain way, she did, not because she wanted to, but because she was a flesh. She was a man. So when we put our trust in people, even if they don't want to, they might and they will. So another takeout, I felt for a moment when that was happening, I was in a bubble. Yeah. And I prayed to God, God, please, don't let me don't let me, be depressed. I knew my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I knew that this could be a different story. I could be the guy who committed suicide or who,
Turned
left
rebellious.
church and now it's smoking
I'm
and,
not even-
going.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I've ran into, like, we all see homeless people all the time, but like, there's been times where I literally stop and talk to these homeless, like, hear them out. And a lot of times it's similar stories. It's just the opposite side of how you turned out.
The way they reacted
The
to
way they reacted to it. Like, I've actually heard a quote recently. It was, you aren't what happens to you, you are how you react to it. And I think Victor's the perfect example.
Prime
of
example of that.
That.
Yeah, and it was God who, actually, it was so crazy that I was smiling during, and I gotta say, when I was at that moment, I remember, like, with a lot of clarity, like, I pray with all my heart, Father, don't let this destroy me, make me stand firm. And after that, the one of the people of the hospital, the staffing said, we're gonna take her to the cold room, where when somebody dies, they put them in like a cold room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. And one of my uncles said, I want to go see her. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I go see her? But I didn't want to have a bad impression on my mom
Yeah.
after she passed away. But it's like, man, I have to go see her. That would be a great opportunity, because I've heard that people who passed away with Jesus, they like in a peaceful, they end up well. I went to see her, and I go see her. I'm kissing her. Like, this is not in my. I didn't think about this. It's like if I were to ask her, like, how would you react if somebody tries to rob you? You don't know. You're like, so same situation. You don't know how it's gonna react. I was with her, kissing her, like her hands. She was so beautiful. Even I joke with the people who take them from that room. He came in and there was like 2 other people there, and she's like, we're looking for this woman. And I was like, yeah, she's my mom. Who's she? I was like, and I told him, like, she's the most beautiful of all the people. That's the one. That's my mom. And I was drinking Malta, Malta, and like a waffle.
Yeah.
Now I look back and like seeing your mom like
That's
that,
crazy,
that's
man.
God.
I
That's
can't.
God.
I
My
can't comprehend that, really.
My
No, I
family is
exactly,
still
yeah.
waiting for me to break. Because they haven't seen it yet, and for months, even now, I think now they understood God's power and God's strength, but they were like, no, he hasn't noticed
Dealt with it yet.
Dealt with it yet. Give it some time. They were watching over me. They're like, no, and still it hasn't happened. And I don't give myself credit. It's God's who. So back to the question. Same thing for business. I saw God, work in a way where He made me stand He made me stand where I was dealing with my biggest fear, which was in my mom. Now anything that happens in business, I just go back to Him, and I know it's gonna be there. So that's what's made me stand up in business, stay. Kind of.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
crazy
that's-
because the whole time I was getting goosebumps, and I didn't necessarily there was points where I was like, man, like God was I could just tell God was just moving in you, because just from my reaction, I was like, okay, so when's He gonna break down? At what point are you gonna be like, yeah, and then I broke down, and then you were still
They're
like,
still
no,
waiting. It's still
waiting.
and I hope
The world
God,
may never know.
I hope God, keeps
Yeah, because I
same
feel
way.
like maybe I'm just a shallow, I don't know. I feel like I'd break down, but feel like God. Yeah, you
mean,
could definitely.
I don't think that's being shallow.
I mean, I cried a lot, but I cried closed doors, and this was the breaking moment. This will answer your question, because you may be like, no, there's something else. Why this guy didn't break?
Yeah.
There was a time when I was crying. I used to pray in the restroom. It's a beautiful big restroom, so I used to pray there, and I'm crying because you have these emotions. I know the word.
Like a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, I know the word. I know, being thankful and all that. And but I was crying because you cry. I miss her. So
Yeah.
I was crying and God said, I felt like God told me this. You know, I didn't hear like the voice, but on a thought, I was like, okay, you have two choices. Because my thing was like, I think I was 20 years old. I was like, God, why? You know, there are people who they don't honor their mom or their dad, their parents, and you know, I see older women from 73 years old, and the son is doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why my mom? Like, if you know, I love her so much, why was taken from me at 20 years old? You know, why didn't you give me more time?
Yeah.
That was my I asked God that way, and I felt from God that He said, okay, you have two options. You can be thankful because you lived with her for 20 years. You were the only son. You slept with her every day, same bedroom. She didn't marry anymore after my dad. She didn't have a partner, nothing like that. It was all for me.
Yeah.
She was like my best friend at home. I used the restroom, and I had the habit of leaving the door open because she was probably speaking or something. It was she and I at home.
Yeah.
So you had two options. Either you are thankful because you had her for you. You didn't have any more siblings because you were her only child. It was all for you. You're thankful because for 20 years you had her for you, or you're gonna complain because you didn't have her for 70 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I gave it to you to enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah.
And I don't have any regrets of like I didn't honor her, like, and I understood like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I did everything, you know. I lived with her to the fullest,
Yeah.
and I make the choice. So that's going back to the point of people who are homeless for certain situations.
Yeah.
My takeaway from that was you have the power. You tell the story.
Yeah.
So you are the one who tell the story. I can be telling you this story, which may be very inspirational for some people.
Yeah.
Or I could tell the other story, which was like, I was a church guy. I loved God, but I got in depression because,
Yeah.
my mom was taken away when I was 20 years old. So God made me to make a choice in my restroom, and I chose gratitude and being thankful.
Yeah, I really like that point of view of being in control of what happens. Obviously, everything is in God's hands in our lives, but not looking at yourself from that victim mindset. There are specific exceptions, but I like to look at everything I do and everything in my life in a form of like, if I go outside and I get wet, I could say, well, I can't control the weather and then try and feel bad for myself. I like to look at it from the perspective of I could have prepared, I could have checked the weather, I could have brought an umbrella. It's my fault. Even things that may not be my fault, I almost like to put it in that way so that in other situations, I know that I'm in control of it. I don't leave things up to chance or like to chance, like I said, to chance, while knowing everything is in God's hands. But just taking that responsibility and accountability for everything that happens in your life, I think you puts you in less of a victim mindset. And I think that's kind of what you did to take action there.
Yeah, it was like God. I see God over the Bible, giving people choices. Like, what do you want? So I'm gonna be with you. You're gonna go to heaven, but what life are you gonna live? Like the miserable life? You're gonna tell everybody about your sad story of your mom, your person you love the most, passing away at 20 years old, or you're going to tell the story of you going through that and you had the best childhood with your mom. What are you going to choose? And I was like, yeah, I'd rather, it was easy. It was easy. I was like, no, I choose the thankfulness.
Yeah.
That's it. And God gives choices to everybody along the way. He's like, I give you the choice over life or death. What are you going to choose?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know. I
Man,
bring up.
sorry,
No, you're good. You're all good. This is what we're
This
here
is
to do.
amazing.
I've already
Wow.
learned so much.
It's so
I don't know
good.
how much time has gone by.
I was like tearing up. Like I was.
Yeah.
I had to look away for a couple of times.
I feel you. What about you, Eudi? We want to know more about you, your upbringing, how you got where you are today. If you own a GT3, it obviously isn't, selling hotcakes. But so just tell us.
Elder is an inspiration for me.
Yeah,
honestly,
you've been an inspiration of my life.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah, I think that we all have our stories, and each story is different. I was just talking to somebody this morning. They were like, "Oh, how'd you get here?" And I would like to learn about you. And I'm like, "Well, I'd like to learn about you too." And they're like, "But, I mean, I'm like not even nowhere near like the money that you make." But I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. You came to this country, probably, gone through some really hard, tough things, and now you're here, trying to better yourself. That right there's already an inspiration. So I want to know about your story. And I sat down, listened to that person's story. One thing that I've always thought is that this victim, I don't want to play a victim. I don't want to think that, because I went through this, that I can't be X. And so that's just something that really stuck with me. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, basically raised by my single mom, and I have 2 younger sisters. Growing up was very challenging. Didn't have a home. Different from maybe your upbringing. There wasn't that connection within my family. Mom was always at work, and maybe she just didn't have the education or the mindset. And I remember living into I even lived in a homeless shelter at a time in my life when I was younger. And so there are a lot of inconsistencies where I don't remember much, and I thank God that it wasn't something that I dwell on. I don't dwell on the bad things that happen in my life. I just see it as another tool to inspire me and to keep going. And ever since then, it's just that's what I do. And so at the moment, I didn't think it was a bad thing. I always think about, like in the recession of 2008, 2007, the world was crashing. People with a lot of money were, people with a lot of money, they were going suicide. They were killing themselves because they were losing houses, they were losing jobs, they were upside down on mortgages. Finance guys were going crazy. And in 2007 is when my family moved to Jacksonville. But we were so poor that the world was falling. And for me, it was a day-to-day. It was a normal day.
The way you look at it and say it.
But here's the thing. Yeah. So in 2007, we didn't even have enough money to get the deposit for an apartment. We actually lived out of a car, and we showered in rest areas. Brushed my teeth, showered there in rest areas. I slept in the car, and then someone was kind enough later on to lend my mom a tent, like just a regular tent. So here's this little kid. I was somewhere around, 10 years old maybe. We're going camping. So we went camping at the beach. I think Hanna Park over there. Mm-hmm. Oh no, sorry. Heckscher Drive past there. Mm-hmm. There's a place there. You just pay for the week or something. Yeah. And to me, I was this cool kid in a tent at the beach. That was my house. But time went on, right? I'm a grown up now, and I hear about the recession of 2008. I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? What is this? What has happened to us?
What is a recession?
What is a recession?
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, a lot of people were killing themselves. A lot of people were losing their jobs. They lost their homes. A lot of bad things were happening. The market crashed. I was like, oh really? I was like, Mom, I go back. I'm like, Mom, where were you in 2007, 2008? What? She was like, son, we were so broke that didn't matter to us. It affected nothing to us. So I look back on that. That was one of the most, just kind of one of those amazing stories as to where God was just taking care of us. Despite that, the world was crashing. And it's sad for those that, we're saying it jokingly, but a lot of people went through a lot of tough times at the time. So, yeah, that was one of the things that I went through. And then I want to talk about this too. This is something that a lot of youth um, struggle with when they don't have a father figure, and I had this, is I was rebellious. I didn't want to learn in school. I didn't respect my mom as I should have, and I was still young. I was around like fifth grade, sixth grade, and my life changed when my mother actually decided to send me to my dad back in Dominican Republic, and so I did a whole year of my life in Dominican Republic. So I did my sixth grade year over there, and that was also just completely different. Yeah, I was poor here.
Did she do it as like a way to like kind of like punish you? Like, oh, you're being bad. I'm gonna send you to your dad.
That's exactly. It was. I'm being bad. She just didn't know what to do with me. She felt like she was losing me as her son, and she just wanted to make sure I just didn't go astray, and that she thought that maybe sending him to my dad, having that father figure, that he would put me in line. And actually, how I got there was because I was already in trouble at school. I was fighting or whatever I was doing, being disrespectful, something I'm not proud of, but it's part of my process, right? And so, like again, like if I thought I was poor here, over there was completely different. Like, so public schools here have breakfast, lunch. You got AC, you're in comfy stuff. You got a lot of all types of, whatever, utensils, books, whatever.
Basic necessities.
Basic necessities.
I think over basic.
Right. In the DR, it was hot. No central AC, right? Mosquitoes. All you got was a little milk with a piece of bread, un pancito, and that was, I was like, what's going on? Like, I want to go back, and being accustomed, right, to like waking up and having frosted flakes with milk. In DR is not a common thing. That once you're at a certain age, you're not, well, depending on your life, your social class in the DR, you are not eating, cereal as with milk as breakfast as already a middle schooler. You're eating like eggs, maybe one egg and a plátano, right?
Oh.
So I wasn't used to it.
That's
But
great.
my gosh, did I learn a bunch.
Oh yeah, love it.
My dad was he was very strict, but he taught me how to be clean, be organized, even with my clothes, the way I carried myself. Biggest thing for him was making sure my nails were always clean. I remember, going to school over there. They have uniform, and always making sure that my uniform was clean. And I'll have to hand wash my own uniform. Myself.
Ooh.
Yeah, he would make me hand wash my own uniform, just so I can learn. And he said that would just make me a better man. At the time, I was mad. I was mad at my mom, mad at my dad. I was mad at everyone, and I was just like, why am I here? But as the months went by, I started appreciating the little things. I miss my mom more than anything. My dad always said, you're going to respect your mom. You got to care for her. I mean, look, I'm so happy and glad that my mom is still here. I could even fathom what it would feel like if I lost my mom. So thank God, a year went by. I did my school year. I said, Mom, I've changed. Please
I'm
bring
ready.
me back.
Please bring me back.
I'm ready to rich life, to go back to my rich life.
Please. And it's funny. I came back, changed person. Actually started getting into AB honor roll, gifted programs, and things like that. Once I came back, and so I think that's when there was a big character development in my life, and that's and then pretty cool thing. My family wasn't very religious, let's say, right?
Okay.
My entire life.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, come high school, I'm in 9th grade, and I meet my best friend, his name is Julito, and that's when I started getting closer to God and having a relationship, and knew who was God, because at the time I didn't know who God was, because in my house, God was not a topic at all.
Yeah.
And I think then with the character shape that happened in DR, plus then knowing Christ, I think that's when a lot of things started changing for my life, and just trying to be better and trying to be example for people around me. Is that's when I was thinking a little bit more mature.